All right. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to How to Master SQL DBA with TK. And as you already know, I'm TK himself. If you are new to this channel, this is our YouTube page where we post all our videos about SQL. All right, so let me open my notepad and let's look at what we are here today. Alrighty, we are here today to create databases right here. I'm very excited for that project. As you know, last time we created a index and backup maintenance job, and that went successfully. But today we are going to be creating databases. Let's look at the overview of the project. So this is the overview of the project. So we have received a ticket, right, that says that we should create two databases called AdventureWorks 2016 and AdventureWorks 2017 on SQL01. Once we are done creating these databases, we should now execute the script, right? There's a script right here that they want us to execute, right? See, there's the script. They want us to execute that script on both databases. All right. So I'm very excited. Wonderful project, and I'm going to explain this to you in details. So let us first off, I'm going to copy all this to make it easy. I'm going to copy all this, then do this, copy, or I can just right click, select all, and copy. That's easy. Then I'm going to take it now to, let me check my Hyper-V manager. So my SQL01 is up and running and good. If yours is not running, you know what to do, right? Right click and connect. Now I'll come down here, go to my SQL01, open it up. Then I go right here, go to Notepad, just like that. Then I'm going to open this up, come here, and I'm going to paste this in there. Now I have the information in here. It's easy for me to just look at it and do what I got to do. Once I'm on the server, and I keep saying, please don't confuse a server and an instance. I need to hop on the SQL instance. How do I do that? I click on the SQL Server Management Studio, the yellow box right here, not the yellow folder, the yellow box. All right, once I click on it, it comes up, SQL Server Management Studio. So now this is coming up. I have to wait for it. Now that this is up, right, I verify that I'm going to SQL01. I'm using what? My Windows authentication, and that is Shiloh T, the right account. And I've checked this box right here. I click connect. Now that I'm inside, I'm going to give you a quick overview before I start creating my database, right? I'm pretty sure I gave this already, but if not, let me just repeat right now. If you click to your left right here, these are called system. You see, it said databases. You click on system databases, you click there. These are the master model, MSDB, and TempDB. These are all called system databases. Why are they called system databases? They are called system databases because once we did the installation of this instance, they came with the system. What we are going to be creating is called user databases. And that is what we are going to be using because we create them and we use them, right? We create them, we create tables, we create columns, we create and we put data in there and we use them. That is why they are called user databases. Okay, let's start. So first thing first, we are going to create two databases. So there are two ways of doing things on SQL, right? You have a GUI method and you have the script method. The GUI, GUI, that is the graphical user interface. This entire course, we have been using the GUI. The GUI simply means when I say click here, click there, right click here, go there, do that, and you actually see the interface, right? You see my mouse move, my cursor moving, right? That is what is called a GUI. Now a script is when if I come, let me close this window. If I come right up here, follow my cursor, I right click and I say open query window, and I write a query in this box right here. You see, this is called a query window. If I write something in there, like just write, and I click execute, then it runs in the background and execute that. That is what is called a T-SQL or a query. So what we are going to do, we are going to create those two databases using the GUI method, and we are going to create them using the script. So first thing first that I want to do, let's create it use a GUI method. So let's go again to your left side where it says databases, right click. By now you should know that most Microsoft product, you right click to get more information or to do more stuff. Once you right click, you see where it says new database, you click on that. Once you click on that, now this box open up. What I want you to do is to go to where it says database name. What is our database name? We need to create two. The first name is called AdventureWorks 2016. So that is what we are going to put in there. I'm being lazy, so I'm going to copy and paste, but you should write AdventureWorks 2016. And I'm going to copy that. Okay. Let me copy this right here. So just like that. Copy and paste. Yes. So yes, just like that. So it says AdventureWorks 2016. Now, the owner of this database, right? What does that mean? It simply means that who owns this database. Default means that the person creating the database. Remember, the account that we are using is Shiloti. But we should always keep the database owner as SA, sysadmin. So let's change that to SA. I know that some jobs that we did create last time also is very important to always change like your jobs and database owner to SA, especially the jobs, because you do not want to put a person in here as a job owner. Why? People come and go. You have somebody working at the company today, tomorrow they are gone, they have a better job, maybe they are fired, right? And if that person used their account and the owner, that account get revoked, get canceled, then that job starts failing. So it is very important that once you create a job, use SA. All right. Now that is being said, let's look at this right here. So right here, this is the 5 parts, right? This is the data and this is the log. And that is what we chose, right? Remember, it's the E drive, SQL data, L drive, SQL log. Everything is good. Everything looks good. Let's click on option and see what it says. Okay, our recovery mode, very important. Our recovery mode is full. And again, remember, we are going to talk about this in the future. Your recovery mode determines the type of backup you can take. Very important, right? When you are in full recovery mode, you can take all your backups. That is your full backup, your differential backup, and your log backup. But if I was to switch this to a simple recovery mode, I can only do a full and differential backup. Don't worry about it. We'll talk about this in the future. And these are our 5 groups. We have just one 5 group right now. Everything is good. So click OK. And that's it. Once you click that, let me close this. We have a database here called AdventureWorks 2016. Okay. Once we have that database, let me show you something real quick, which is very important. Right click again, go down to the properties of the database. Click on that. Once you click on that property, now let's look at this a little bit. Now, because this is a brand new database that we just created, as you can see on top right here, it says last database backup, none. We don't have none. Right here, it says last database log backup, none. This information is very important. Why is it important? Just at looking at this, you can tell if your log and full backup are running, right? If somebody's like, hey, go and check to see if the log and full backup are running, this is a very quick way, very, very fast method to check. Okay. Also, that's the database name. Okay. The owner's essay, and this is the date created, right? If somebody's like, hey, how old is this database right here? You can come over here and you check to see the date created. Size is very important, right? The database is pretty small, really, really small. You want to know how big your database is because You want to know how it is growing, and also you want to know just in case you need to move it to another server or instance, right? And you want to ensure that there's enough space in that location that you are trying to move the database to. And I believe we have already looked, we have looked this already. The recovery mode, I explained this, right? So when it's in full, we can take all types of backups. We are good. And that is English right here. The collision, if somebody say, hey, I need it in another language, you do a drop down around here and you can change it. There's a lot. You just have to ask them what language you want them to change to. And for now, I think that is good enough, so we can click OK. Okay, so let's do something real quick before we move on. I know last time when we created our jobs, I believe I did not change the owner of the jobs, or I changed mine, but I don't think you have changed yours. If your job owner is still like Shiloh T, this is how you change the owner to SA. You come here, you right click, you go to properties, this opens up, and you come here where it says, if it says Shiloh T, just remove Shiloh T and click SA, and you click OK. That's it. And you do the same for this index review. If you're wondering, hey, who's SA? Where did SA come from? Remember, go to security, and I'll show you who SA is, and go to logins. Here, SA is this SA right here. SA is the person that we did give. Remember, we create a SQL login and an AD account login, and the login for the SQL was SA. Yes, SA is that person, sysadmin. So that is how SA came about. All right, let me close this. All right, so now we have created our first database using the GUI. Now let's create the second database using a script. And we want to create a database called AdventureWorks 2017. I will show you how to. Let me copy this. All you have to do, right, is to type a syntax in there, or this script called the Create Database, and you just write the name of the database right there. You paste. You see, say Create Database AdventureWorks 2017. If I run this script, it's going to execute it. But let me explain something real quick. This is a system database right here, this one called master, right? And we have to create it on master. So if I do a drop down right here, I have multiple databases, right? You can see that, right? I have adventure, I have masters, I have models. So I can switch, I can change this to master. Let's say I change this to model, right? I execute it, that's no good. So sometimes you have to use what is called a use statement. What is a use statement? A use statement simply means that you are telling this script that, hey, use this database to execute the script. So you write something like this: use master go. Okay, what is this script saying? It's saying that use the master database go, create this database. Why do you want to use a use statement, you may ask? Why you can just go here and do it without the use statement? Sometimes you have multiple databases right here. You have like 50 databases, right? They have very similar names, very close enough. It's always good to use a use statement, especially when you're working with user databases, just to ensure that, hey, you are creating your database on the right, or you are creating, whatever you are creating, right? Maybe you're inserting a data, you are deleting a data, right? You are doing it on the right database. And as you see, even though it says model over here, if I do a use statement, this is going to change to master. So let me execute and you'll see. Okay. All right. So it's executed. Let's wait. I don't know why it's taking that long, but usually it doesn't take that long to execute. So use master go, create database adventure of 2017. All right. Let's go to the message. No message yet. Wow. Okay. Let's see what it says. Okay. It says that we could not, let me see, we could not obtain a log on database model re-entry. Okay. let's run it now just against. Okay, let me change because I had a use statement right here. It's supposed to use it, right? It said we could not obtain execution lock on database model. Re-enter operation later. But because it had a use statement, it's not. Let me redo it again. Let me go to model and let me right click on this. Let me highlight that and execute it. You see, executed successfully and it changed to master. That is what it was supposed to happen right here, right? Even though it was a database model, right? But it used master and it changed, and you see it's succeeded. This is what was supposed to happen. I don't know what happened the first time, but sometimes that happens. Then you come here, you refresh, and now we have two databases. We have a database called AdventureWorks 2016 and a database called AdventureWorks 2017. That is how you create your databases. Now, so we have to do something else. They ask us to execute some scripts on the databases, right? So they said after we create these databases, let's execute this script right here. So let's copy this, and I'm going to try to explain the script to you. Copy, and let's come over here and let's paste that script in there. Paste. All right. So what does this script do? Okay, now that we have our database AdventureWorks 2016 and AdventureWorks 2017, right? And just to be sure, if we go here, we go to properties, the same thing that I showed you, right? There's no backups and the size and everything stays the same. So just always make sure to double check. That's why I didn't bother to do it again, because I believe I've already showed you. And again, we go to option. The recovery mode is full for this one. And let me see what recovery mode is for this one. Let me come over here. Properties. The recovery mode is what? Is again is full. All right. So we are clear on that. Let me cancel. Now we are here. Back to the script right here. What is this script saying? The script is saying, remember, it has a use statement. It says use AdventureWorks 2016, this one. Now create a table called employee. If you remember, right, this database, right, is just an empty database right now. It has no structure. This is trying to give it a structure, right? This creating tables. Why? Because remember that in relational database, the data is stored in columns and rows. So we are trying to create a table that has those columns and rows. Right now, there's no structure, so we have created a database. Now we are trying to create a table that has columns, and then we are going to insert the data in rows. That is what we are trying to do right now. So let me show you, right? If I do a simple select statement, which is going to fail because there's nothing in that database. And again, you cannot do a select statement against a database. You have to do a select statement against a table. So if I say select star from employee, mind you, I haven't created the employee table yet, right? So there's no table in there called employee. I don't have a table in there called employee. I just put in there. And let me use AdventureWorks 2017. Yeah. I highlight this right here. And I click execute. You see, it says invalid object because there's no table in there called employee. And also, in this database, there's no table called employee. So there's nothing to select star. Now, if I go back up here, let's change it to 2017. That's fine. So we can start with that. We can start with AdventureWorks 2017. That's fine. Then we move from 2017 to 2016. So now we are saying that, and let me change this again. I'll show what I'm talking about. It's a masters, but it's going to change. So I'm telling this. So what am I saying? What is this whole entire script saying? It's saying that use AdventureWorks 2017, this one, right? Now create a table named employee. As you can see, I just did a select statement. It failed, right? Now, in that table, I want it to have a column named employee ID. Another column should be called first name. Another column should be called last name. Another column should be called email. Another column should be called phone numbers. Another column should be called date hire. And another column should be called salary. Okay, that is for the columns. Now, all this right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way down, is what we call the data types. You see this? This is this INT. That's the data type. If you can see that, I come down here. That's another data type, data type, data type. Now, this column for employee ID, the data type that's going in there is called integers. What are integers, you may ask? Those integers are only full numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, all the way, no fraction, just full numbers. So only full numbers can go in this column, nothing else. And also, I want it to be identity 1. What does that mean? It means that the first employee ID is going to be 1, second employee ID is going to be 2, 3. So it's going to increase in increments of 1, 1, 1, 1. And I'll make that a primary key, which is a unique index. So don't worry, we'll explain that another time, but just know it's a unique index, the primary key. Then for this, right, Valka, you're like, huh? What is a Valka data type? Valka data type simply means that just like integers, numbers only, Valkas can be numbers, letters, and special characters. Because you know that when it comes to names, right, people have all types of names, right? We have people that have names with special characters. They have names that's just a mixture. Now, you're like, what does this 50 in the code mean right here? That 50 means that the name that is going in this column cannot be longer than 50 characters. If you have a name that is longer than 50 characters, that data is going to fail. It's not going to fit in there. Like, for example, you see somebody's first name is John. If that John name was spelled like John, then it's like 51 characters. This is going to fail. So it has to be 50 characters or less. Then not null means that we need to have a name. We cannot leave it blank. Once we are putting the data in there, everybody has to have a first name. Same thing for the last name, right? 50, Valka, not null. Then for the email, again, Valka means it can be number, letters, and special characters, because you know the outside is special character. Then for email, it's up to 100 characters. If your email is longer than 100 characters, you're out of luck. Then unique simply means that email spot have to be unique. No two people can have the same email. That is what it is saying. Maybe you have had the experience of trying to create an account, let's say on Facebook or with your bank or something else, and they tell you that, hey, you can't use this because it has been used before. It has a unique constraint. Then for phone numbers, you see Valka 20, meaning that it can be numbers. These phone numbers could have been integers, right? Because phone numbers is mostly numbers, but they say, okay, they want you to put Valka 20, but that is fine. Then the date hire is just the date hire. So the date, but there's a way you write the date. You see how to write the date in there? It's like year, month, and day. So there's a specific order. Then now for salary, you see it's decimal, the data type 10-2. What does that mean? It simply means that you are being paid. So let me try to explain this in US dollars, right? Or maybe pounds. So if you are being paid $1,000.05, right? Or $1,000.10, right? So the $1,000 have 3 zeros. And then the cent is like two digits, right? Point something. So this 10 means that the number can go up to those 10 zeros, which is about $1 billion. I can't remember. So it has up to, like, they can pay you up to $1 billion. Then the 2 is those 2 cents in the back. So if you are being paid like $1,000.25, so that will be $3 up to 3 zeros and 25 cents. So if you have a salary that's above this 10, man, you are like a zillionaire or something. So every salary in the world should be able to fit in this right here. All right, so I've explained it, and now what I'm going to do, I'm going to run this. I can run all this at once, but I'm going to run it step by step so you see how the structure of the table is being created. So let me highlight this just from here and all the way up here. So I'm going to use database Adventure 2017. Once I do that, then I'm going to create the structure. So execute. Now I have executed that command successfully. You see that? Now if I go back down and I run a select statement, you're going to see something different. Execute. Now I have the structure of that table. You see that? It's no more failing because there is a table named employee. Even though in that table I have zero data, I haven't inserted any data, but I can see employee ID, first name, last name. There is something in there. So there's some kind of structure that is being built. Now let me insert data in that table and then run it again. So I'm going to insert. This right here simply means that I'm inserting all this data in here in that table. And yes, there is a format on how you do it, right? So, but for the sake of time, let me just insert it right now. Okay, so let me just highlight this. And as you can see, I can highlight just the section that I want to run and execute. So let me execute. And 10 rows affected successfully. Good. I come back here and I highlight this one and I execute. You can now see this is the information that has been stored on that database. So as you can see, we have created a database, then we have created the structure of the database, and now we are inserting data in that database, right? So the data is being stored how? In columns and rows. Remember, I told you about the employee ID being integer 1, which means in an increment of 1. So you see the first one is 1, second is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? And that's the first name column, last name, email, phone number, date hire, and salary. So that is the basic way that information on a database is being created and stored. And I break it down in such a way that you understand it. Most at times, developers will be the ones to do this, right? But at least have an understanding of what they do. So if they come to you for help for something, you can help, right? Or if they give you a script to execute, at least you know how the script works in the back end. All right, so now we are going to execute the same script, but we are going to do it where in SQL, in database Adventure 2016. All we need to do is just to change that 17 to 16, just like that. And we execute this entire script right here as 1. So let's execute it. Okay. And just like that, everything has been executed right here. As you can see, this is, you see what happened was right here, it used this database, it created this table, inserted this data, and now it gave me the information right here. So everything was executed just as 1. Okay, right here. Select star from employee, execute it. Right here, right, good. So everything ran as 1, and I have all that information right there. You see that? So we are good, and everything was successful. I like to see that. Hopefully, this class was good because we were able to create the database, we were able to create the structure of the table, and we were able to insert the data so that you see the back end of how things are being done. Again, this is just a basic table, right? Because tables, you can create multiple tables on one database, and you connect them with what is called foreign keys, and you put so much information in it. There are tables that have millions of data, like rows and columns. I'm talking about containing so much information. But again, this is how it starts, and it gets connected and connected and connected and connected, right? Because you can have multiple different tables on the same database, right? And as you can see, another thing, you can have this table a table employee was created on 2 different databases. As you can see, yes, one table like the same name can exist in multiple databases, but we cannot create 2 databases with the same name. For example, let me show you something real quick. if I was to use, if I was to do, let me just X out from here real quick. Let me demonstrate that. Let me demonstrate this right now. So let me X this, go back, open a new query right here. Let me open a new query right here, new query window. And I say, I just said masters over there. I just said create database. Let me just drag this right here, database, this database right here. If I want to execute this script, because it's saying that Create Database Adventure of 2016 is going to fail. You see? And this is what it's telling me. It says that we cannot find the store procedure. We cannot create this database right here. Okay, let me see. Let me move the columns, because it's supposed to tell me that, hey, database already exists. So create database that. So let me execute this right here. Good. This is what I'm supposed to see right here. It says database adventure work already exists, meaning that you cannot have a database with the same name on the same SQL instance. It has to be unique. If I try to create adventure of 2017, I should have the same message right there. Click execute. Right there, the same message. It says that the database already exists. So every database on this instance have to be unique. But I can have multiple tables in there with this. No, I can have tables, like one table in there with the same name and a table in here with the same name as this database, right? Yeah. All right. That being said, I believe we have come to the end of this class. But before we go, let's check out to see what we got going on for our next project. Okay. For our next project, we just created databases. Yeah, okay, we have to restore databases. Yep, that's a good one. Remember, the databases that we downloaded online, I think on day 2 of this project, we will have to restore them. But before we can prep for that let's just prep for that right now. Let me go to my yellow folder, my file explorer. I call it the yellow folder. And I click on downloads, and I click on databases. So we are going to restore 1, 2, 3, 4 databases, right? So what we can do right now to make our life easy, let's just copy this. Right click and copy all. Then we take them to SQL 01, because that is where we are going to be doing the restoration. While we're in SQL 01, I click on my yellow folder, File Explorer. Then I go to this PC, click on my download, and click on my SQL backups. Click on that, right click, and then I paste. All right, now they are being pasted on the backup location. Once they're being pasted, then we can do the restoration from there during our next class. Sweet, sweet, sweet. It makes everything easy. Again, it depends on your internet. No, it depends on your, not really internet speed. It depends on how fast mine is done. Your computer is processing this, so it should be done by now. All right, team. All right, everybody. I hope the class was straight. I hope the class was good. And I will see you guys and girls during our next project. Bye-bye. I'm out.